The book of 1 Kings, chapter 2 and verse 1. Now the days of David drew nigh that he should die. And he charged Solomon his son, saying, I go the way of all the earth. Be thou strong, therefore, and show thyself a man.
The word show means what? Huh? Display your behavior to who?
To the nation.
He said, prove that you're a man. Prove it. You say you're a man. Prove it. That's what he's saying to him. Prove that you're a man in your lifetime. That's why the question is being asked, am I a man? Because you might say you're a man because you're in here. You might say you're a man because you know where to go in the scriptures. But what he's telling his son is, in your life, you're going to have to prove that you're a man. Your actions are going to dictate whether or not you were a man. That's how you would prove it, right? It would take a lifetime of the correct actions, the correct decision making. Yeah, you can have your house in order. That's correct. But if you go and you slap somebody across the head, is that manly? If you are out of order household, right? But you good with everybody. You got great relationships, but your whole household's out of order. Is that manly? Your actions are gonna dictate and show, are you a man or not? That's what he's telling you.
Warm, gotta pick a side. Who am I?
Tonight's topic is, am I a man? Am I a man? Anybody taken aback by that question? Anybody like, why would you ask that? Just curious. I want to hear your thoughts. Anybody wondering why I'm asking, am I a man?
Hey, Shalom, I'm Most High in Christ bless.
Sign Christ bless you.
I'm thinking you're asking the question because as men, we're taught a certain way with the world on what being a man is, but we never go through the scriptures and really examine it. So that's what you plan on doing today, sir.
Okay. Yep. Exactly. Right. Exactly. Right. There's a difference between a male and a man. Right. It's a difference between a male and a man. A male, you got male parts. Right. You got a rod. But a man has certain characteristics and qualities. Everybody ain't got them characteristics and qualities. So when we look in the Bible, we're going to figure out what does the Bible actually say about being a man. Right. Go to 2 Samuel chapter 7 and verse 22. Let's start there.
The book of 2 Samuel, chapter 7 and verse 22. Wherefore thou art great, O Lord God, for there is none like thee, neither is there any God beside thee, according to all that we have heard with our ears.
So we got to start off, right? There's only one God that exists, right? There's no other God. There's no Buddha. There's no Krishna. There's no white Jesus. There's nothing else that's valid and worth your time. So David acknowledges this first, right? And then watch what he says after it.
And what one nation in the earth is like thy people?
So he said, what one nation is like thy people, right? Go ahead.
Even like Israel, whom God went to redeem for a people to himself, and to make him a name, and to do for you great things and terrible for thy land before thy people, which thou redeemedest to thee from Egypt, from the nations and their gods.
So if there's one God and there's one people that's connected to that God, you got to understand how unique we are, right? We're one out of everybody else, 1 of 1. There's no other nation with a God, right? Any religion is false. Any doctrine that people follow in terms of how to be a man or life coaching, right? You see a lot of that stuff. All of that is false because there's only one God that exists, right? It's only one God with wisdom, with the ability to create things, with the ability to create air, water, all these things that we need in order to survive. There's only one God that creates that, and that's your God. So think about how valuable you are in the sense of what I'm about to talk about today, right? Because oftentimes we read the Bible and we kind of look at ourselves as like nothing, right? We look at ourselves as regular. But I'm telling you, 1 out of 1. There's only one Israelite man, right? In the sense of there's no other nation with a God, right? Give me Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 5. So with that, there's certain stipulations. Deuteronomy 4 and verse 5. Watch what he says.
The book of Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 5. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my God commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it.
So he said, the land that I'm going to give you, I gave you laws, statutes, and commandments for you to keep when you got there. Go ahead.
Keep therefore and do them. For this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations.
So when the nations see you, right, they're going to know that you're great and you're connected to this God by the way you behave and carry yourself. Go ahead.
Which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people.
Read.
For what nation is there so great, who have God so nigh unto them?
See what he's saying? He said, yo, there's nobody else. What other nation has a God connected to them? A lot of times we get down, we hang our head, we lack self-esteem, right? We lack certain character traits that make a man because we don't understand. Well, you one-on-one. Not another man like you. You doubting yourself, but there's nobody else with a God. There's nobody else who can pray. Just think about these things. Nobody else can pray. Everybody else that prays is just wasting their time. It's a waste of time. Nobody else can pray. Nobody else can have faith. They can't have faith. And what? It's made up. Y'all got to really think about who y'all are, right? In the context of being a man. Go ahead.
As the Lord our God is in all things that we call upon him for. And what nation is there so great that have statutes and judgments so righteous as all this law, which I set before you this day?
So there's no other nation with righteous laws, statutes, and commandments. That's why when you go to work and the heathen get mad, they just do wicked stuff. Because they have nothing to guide them, to govern them, to know how to move, to know how to think through these problems. That those things don't exist. The way that they figured out their wisdom was trial and error and destroying people. That's how they figured out everything through the methods of the devil, through destruction. The way you figured everything out was God said, do this and don't do that. And you say, you know what, I want to try the evil just to see how it's going to go. That's what we did as a people. But if we had done it right, nothing evil would ever happen to us. So now, question for y'all, right? What great nation has ever been started by women? Just curious. Or if you got a great female leader, somebody let me know. Bo, do you got the article? Let's see. Hez, can you read that?
Yes, sir. Women rulers of the ancient and classical world. Artemisia, woman ruler of Halicarnassus.
Go ahead.
I never heard that.
Pause. Go ahead.
When Xerxes went to war against Greece in 480 to 479 BCE, Artemisia, ruler of the Halicarnassus, brought 5 ships and helped Xerxes defeat the Greeks in the naval battle of Salamis.
Raise your hand if you ever heard of this woman. All right, read the next one.
Boudica.
That's ghetto.
Yeah.
She from the hood. Go ahead.
Boadicea, woman ruler of the Iceni. Boadicea is an iconic hero of British history.
All right, keep going. How many of y'all heard of her? Nobody never heard of Boudicca? Okay, all right, keep going.
Cartimandua, woman ruler of Brigantis.
How many of y'all heard of her? Okay, let's keep going.
Cleopatra, woman ruler of Egypt.
How many of y'all heard of her? Where you heard about her at? Movies? Okay, all right. She got a reputation. Go ahead.
Cleopatra Thea, woman ruler of Syria.
Ever heard of her? Okay, let's go. So we got 1 out of what, like 4 or 5. Keep going.
Ellen Louisdog, woman ruler of Wales.
Who heard of her? Y'all catching a pattern? Who's catching a pattern? Somebody help me out. Somebody get a mic, help me out. One of y'all. Isaiah, go ahead. You got a mic? There you go. Help me out. What's the pattern?
Shalom, sir. The pattern is, if they were so great of rulers, why don't we know them?
Okay. All right. Watch this now. Do you know the founding fathers? Who they were?
Just what's his face? George Washington.
Okay. You see that? See that? Go ahead. Go ahead, Shemaiah. Go ahead, Shemaiah. Help him out. I'm asking for a reason. Watch this. Y'all know who the founding fathers though are in theory, right? Y'all know what the Mount Rushmore has on it? Has 4 what on it?
White men.
Has Okay, go ahead, Shemaiah.
I was gonna say our founding fathers are Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Correct. You know them, right? But I'm asking in the world, right? Like Alexander the Greek. You know him? Yeah. Okay. You know the presidents, right? Certain presidents, right? Okay. Why is that? Why are these men known? Y'all know who Genghis Khan is? Why do y'all know these men? Why do y'all know these men? And you don't know the women?
Shalom. Because of the actions that they did while they were living.
What actions? Elaborate a little bit.
You know what I mean? Whether it be conquering, whether
Okay.
it be leading an army, whether it be ruling their empire. You know, they have some actions behind, you know, their names, which makes them known or notable.
Okay. Abishai, what you got? Then I'm going to ask another question.
Yeah, the men you were talking about have a lot of notoriety behind their name. When you look at the women rulers, so-called rulers, they had like half a paragraph of
Right.
whatever they did. So there's nothing they really did. They were propped up to be rulers, maybe to appease females, something like that. But other than that, they don't have any works behind it.
So now the question for you is, what level of what did those men that we talking about, Genghis Khan and the founding fathers, what did they do?
Conquer nations.
They conquered nations. They pushed their people forward. That's why you know them. You know all of them because they push their people forward. There's different people you may know, right, because they push their people forward. But the women, you don't know why, because the women don't push nations forward. Women don't push nations forward. Ezekiel 34 and verse 31. Women support nations. They either support them or they tear them down. So remember, the topic is, am I a man? Right? That's why we got to have men's class, because some of y'all don't understand how important you are to, again, the nation. You might think your role is insignificant. Go ahead.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 34 and verse 31. And ye, my flock, the flock of my pasture, are men.
See what God said? The flock of my pasture are men. Maybe that's a typo. Revelation 1 and verse 6. Maybe God decided, I'm going to change my mind. At some point, the women are going to prop up Israel. They're going to be the ones to push it forward. Revelation 1 and verse 6.
Book of Revelation, chapter 1 and verse 6. And hath made us kings and priests unto God and his Father. To him be glory and dominion forever and ever.
Why did he
Amen.
make reference to kings and priests and not daughters and mothers? Why? Somebody help me out.
Because the scripture says he changed not. So from Ezekiel, flock of pastoral men, and Revelation, flock of pastoral men as well. So the men were always propped up to be leaders and rulers.
Okay, right. So that's the point. Revelation 2 and verse 26. Watch what he says here. Jump over one chapter.
Revelation chapter 2 and verse 26. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations.
Why you ain't say I'm going to give the woman power over the nations and they're going to be killing and conquering everybody? Huh? That's important. When you think about your role and your responsibility to the nation, he said in the end, I'm going to give the men power and they're going to conquer and rule nations, right? Go ahead.
And he shall rule them with a rod of iron. As the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my Father.
So in the end, the men are going to rule, right? Why is that relevant? Daniel chapter 2. Let's go there real quick. Start at verse 38. And then, Boda, I want you to pull up. I sent 2 articles after the after that one you just pulled up. Yep, I want that one next. Go ahead, Hez.
The book of Daniel, chapter 2 and verse 38. And wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field and the fowls of the heaven will have he given unto thine hand. And he hath made thee ruler over them all. Thou art this head of gold.
So the head of gold is referring to who, y'all? I'm going to ask a lot of questions. What's the head of gold referring to in Daniel 2 and 38? Bishop just went over it on the Sabbath.
Shalom, sir. Babylon.
Babylon, right? So Babylon was in gold. Babylon was in gold. The reason Babylon was in gold was because in Babylon there was strong rulership, right? If you look at the statue, the metals decrease over time till you get all the way down to the toes, right? And then it's iron and clay. So the nations got weaker over time, right? That's something Bishop didn't cover yesterday, but that's what has happened in the statue. So the first one was made out of gold, right? Because when the king says something in Babylon, it stayed, right? It stuck. So watch this. Let's put up the role of women in Babylon. Then we're going to go to the next empire. We probably go 2 empires down. But look at this. This is Babylon, right? So this was the first world ruling power, second world ruling power that we were under after Egypt. Watch what it says.
Women in Babylonia.
Your mic ain't working. It ain't on. I don't think so. You hear him? Okay, go ahead.
Women in Babylonia, like most ancient societies, had few rights. A woman's role was in home, and failure to fulfill her duties as a wife was grounds for divorce. A woman who neglected her husband and the house could be drowned. If a woman was found to have committed adultery, they could be drowned.
So in Babylon, when your wife didn't clean the crib, you put a rock on her ankle. This is the level that the women was held to in terms of how much they had to clean the house and do their role. This is how the men had their stuff in order. Now, the Bible said thou shalt not kill. We ain't put no rock on nobody's wife ankle, right? That's not what we doing, all right? But the point is when you understand how their society was run, the men were set up and they were conquering and the women were supporting. They wasn't going outside of that. Go back to Daniel chapter 2. You think women were just bucking up in them times? Yeah, I doubt it, right? I doubt it. I don't think women would have said, yo, I'm going to do what I want to do. Because unless you want to go swimming, right? Read that.
Daniel chapter 2 and verse 39.
Go ahead.
And after thee shall arise another kingdom inferior to thee.
See what it says? Now a next kingdom's going to arise, and they're going to be weaker than you. Go ahead.
And another third kingdom of brass, which shall bear rule over all the earth.
So the kingdom that rose that was inferior to Babylon was Persia and Mede, right? So go to Persia and Mede. Watch this. Persian Mede. Well, Persians and the Medes. That's why it's called Persian Mede. Or Persian Media. Depends on how you look at it. Go ahead. Read that.
Women in ancient Persia were not only highly respected, but in many cases considered the equals of males.
Where you see that at? Yeah. Interesting, right? So what you got to understand is America is a mix-up of many captivities in terms of how it operates. And one of the things they took was to make the woman 50-50 with the man. Read that again.
Women in ancient Persia were not only highly respected, but in many cases considered the equals of males. Women could own land, conduct business, receive equal pay, could travel freely on their own, and in the case of royal women, hold their own council meetings on policy.
So when you read in the Bible, though, right, when Cyrus was in place, right, and then you read about Xerxes, I believe, his wife started tripping, right, and he said, nah, I'm not going to let it rock. But the point I'm making to you is the majority of women, though, they were allowed to have equality. You also have freedom of religion in Persia, but that's a side note. So when some of these things are now in America today, right, this 50-50 mindset, everybody's on the same page. Jeremiah 31 and 22. So Jeremiah was during the time of Babylon that we just looked at. Watch what was prophesied about in the time of Babylon. And then the next captivity comes, and we can see, watch what it says. Jeremiah 31:22.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 31 and verse 22. How long wilt thou go about, O thou backsliding daughter? For the Lord hath created a new thing in the earth.
The Lord created a new thing, right? So at that time when Jeremiah was seeing, he said, yo, this is brand new. This is fresh out the package. The Lord is creating a new thing in the earth. Go ahead.
A woman shall compass a man.
A woman shall compass a man. Anybody know what the word compass means? Somebody help me. Boda, let's pull it up. It's not a black word. Like I don't say I compassed you, right? Go ahead.
To get into one's possession or power. Obtain.
So basically, they were able to manipulate and move the men. A woman shall have control over a man. That's what Jeremiah prophesied about. A woman will have control over a man. 1 Corinthians 11, verse 3. Right? And I'm making all these points to say women once upon a time understood their role, and guess what the men understood? Their role. They understood they had a need to push the nation forward, do the work of a man. The woman understood I need to stay in the house and do my job. And Babylon, if she didn't, she got drowned by the ankle, right? You get what I mean? That's how it was rough. You know what I'm saying? That's right. That's rough, bro. I read that earlier. I said, damn. So you throw your wife in the ocean when she don't clean. That's crazy. Go ahead.
The book of 1 Corinthians.
I know she wasn't taking swimming lessons neither, right? You ain't putting in no bikini to go swim. Just throw the whole wife in the water. I'm telling you, when you read it, you like, damn. All right, go ahead. I mean, we was putting our wives away, right, for any little small thing. But Babylon was not just putting them away. They were putting them in the ocean. For sure, for life. Go ahead.
1 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 3. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ.
Read.
And the head of the woman is the man.
Go ahead.
And the head of Christ is God.
So the order of God, Christ, man, and woman has been established forever. The only problem is the Israelites have forgotten about it. But guess what's crazy about that? Other nations, they don't allow it to get out of order. We the only ones with a God and somebody to follow. But other nations know my wife's going to be in subjection. My children are going to be in subjection. We say, it's all right. It don't matter. Change the order. Except for the Persians, obviously. The Persians like, whatever. You know what I mean? But in society in general, the myth of equality, it don't really exist. Like white women ain't out here running their mouths and doing all these different things. They following their husbands, right? They following their husband. But the black woman, she's out of order. Why? Why y'all think? Go ahead. Huh? You see, pointed at who? Go get the mic. Explain. I'm gonna start calling on people, bruh. Desmond back there chilling. He next.
Because we out of order as men.
Because we, huh?
Because we as men are out of order.
Exactly, right? That's exactly the problem, because we are out of order as men, right? Give me 1 Kings. Actually, give me that video, Boda. The video on, is it harder to be a man today? Yep. See, I got them in order for you, man. You got a lot, but it's in order. Go ahead, play this. Watch.
What's your question?
Men are toxic.
A little bit, yeah.
What do I know? I don't know.
Well, you have like the Andrew Tate types, the red pill types. I think they're adding to the confusion.
Yeah, I don't think it makes it any more difficult for me to be masculine, but being a man in general, I think, has been getting more difficult. The perception that I've gotten recently is that it's frowned upon to be masculine.
Like, what is a good masculinity?
Be able to provide.
It means protecting and providing for the people you love. It's becoming more normalized for men to show emotion. Be a little more vulnerable, I suppose. I think that's an important aspect of masculinity.
Are there male role models that you see in like society that people look up to?
For me
Hey,
personally,
stop. Who they got doing the interview? No, not just any woman, Desmond. The black woman. Go ahead. The culprit with a tube top on, half naked. Because they know she out of order. She's the only one that can ask a man, yo, is it right for you to be a man? Go ahead, play it, man. It's crazy. It'd be subtle. Hit play.
Are there male role models that you see in like society that people look up to?
for me personally, it'd probably be my dad.
I'd say my father, my grandfather.
I definitely love and respect my dad, but I also think like it's a false dichotomy, right? Like, why can't your mom or why can't other female people be a role model for like these same masculine traits? Like, if we're calling strength or like leadership masculine traits, why can you not look for that in someone who's not a man?
So the question often gets asked, is it harder to be a man today, or what's a man today, or is black masculinity gone, or is masculinity toxic, right? 1 Kings 2 and verse 1. Remember, we follow the Bible, right? So let's see what happened here. I was reading this, I've been reading about David. I ain't get this far, but I've been reading about him, and I'm like, man, he was going through hell. Before he died, though, he said something to his son. Watch.
The book of 1 Kings, chapter 2 and verse 1. Now the days of David drew nigh that he should die. And he charged Solomon his son, saying, I go the way of all the earth. Be thou strong, therefore, and show thyself a man.
All right, somebody show me some understanding on that, right? Explain this. Explain verse 2. What does verse 2 say?
It's correlating strong or strength with being a man.
Okay, that's true. Go ahead, Shemai. That's true. None of y'all answer the question.
I would say something. I would say something like, because he's giving his son the last rites, right?
Yeah.
So you saw what I did, son.
Yep.
I need you to follow and do the same thing and show yourself to be a man,
Okay.
like you saw me.
Okay, I'm with you, but what is that last part? Show thyself a man. What does that mean?
Yes, sir. I believe show thyself a man, according to the scriptures, goes into commanding your household according to the laws.
That's not wrong, but show thyself a man. What's that saying? Just those words.
Show thyself a man. I mean, don't be manipulated by, don't give power unto women.
That's all true.
Stay strong.
All you saying is true, because that's in comments in verse 3, right? But give it to feelings. Watch. Let me see if anybody get it.
Shalom, sir. When he's saying show thyself a man, pretty much everything that he taught him, make sure he applies it.
Okay, none of that's wrong. The word show means what? Huh? Display your behavior. To who?
To the nation.
He said, prove that you're a man. Prove it. You say you're a man. Prove it. That's what he's saying to him. Prove that you're a man in your lifetime. That's why the question is being asked, am I a man? Because you might say you're a man because you're in here. You might say you're a man because you know where to go in the scriptures. But what he's telling his son is, in your life, you're going to have to prove that you're a man. Your actions are going to dictate whether or not you were a man. That's how you would prove it, right? It would take a lifetime of the correct actions, the correct decision making. Yeah, you can have your house in order. That's correct. But if you go and you slap somebody across their head, is that manly? If you are out of order household, right? But you good with everybody. You got great relationships, but your whole household's out of order. Is that manly? Your actions are going to dictate and show, are you a man or not? That's what he's telling you. Watch, read verse 3 now.
Verse 3, and keep the charge of the Lord thy God.
See how he adds onto it? He says, and keep the charge of the Lord thy God. Go ahead.
To walk in his ways, to keep his statutes and his commandments, and his judgments and his testimonies, as it is written in the law of Moses, that thou mayest prosper in all that thou doest, and whithersoever thou turnest thyself.
So he said, you're going to have to show it through your actions by keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, right? So none of y'all were wrong in that and keeping the laws. But what I'm getting at is the point of proving it, right? Like the Lord said he did things to do what? Prove us. So what he's telling you is in your lifetime, you need to show that you're a man. You need to prove that you're a man. And the way that you prove that you're a man is by applying the law, statutes, and commandments. So that's why I ask you, am I a man? Because you may say, I'm a man because I got a rod. I'm a man because I'm tall. I'm a man because I set my house in order. I yell at them. But you're emotional on the inside. You could be a man in the house and set your house in order, but the second somebody say something to you you don't like, you swing on them. Is that manly?
They moist.
You moist, exactly. Straight up. Straight up. You could be a moist man. You could be moist but have your household in order. You could not know how to resolve conflict. Right? You can have your house in order. You could be in a house, all the house in order, but the second a brother say something to you, you angry for weeks. That's effeminate behavior. You could be a man who living off your wife. Your wife listens to you, right? She do everything, she clean, but she's running the house in terms of finances because you ain't got no job. Is that manly behavior? That's what it's asking. He's telling you got to do all of this to prove that you're a man. Read verse 4. Watch what he says.
Verse 4, that the Lord may continue his word which he spake concerning me, saying, if thy children take heed to their way, to walk before me in truth with all their heart and with all their soul, there shall not fail thee, said he, a man on the throne of Israel.
Right? So he said, if everybody listens to me and they follow this from generation to generation, none of the nation of Israel will fall. Why? Because men push a nation forward. Give me Sirach chapter 41 and verse 8. So when he said, and if you look up other translations of that very same verse, it'll say, prove thyself a man. That's what it'll say. It won't say, show thyself a man. It'll say, prove thyself a man. That's what show is telling you. You got to prove you a man. Go ahead.
The book of Sirach, chapter 41 and verse 8. Woe be unto you, ungodly men, which have forsaken the law of the Most High God. For if ye increase, it shall be to your destruction.
See, you can increase as a nation, but outside of the law, and it will be to our destruction. That's where we at right now. We keep growing. We keep multiplying. We don't die, we multiply, but look how many of us getting shot in the street and murdered and going to jail for life. We increasing. There's a lot of men out here in terms of male parts, right? But in terms of men's mentality, that don't exist. It's a lot of males. Let me say it that way to create a difference, right? There's males out here, but there's not a lot of men. Two different things. Give me Matthew 4 and verse 4. Watch what Christ said.
The book of Matthew, chapter 4 and verse 4. But he answered and said, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone.
See what he said? A man should not live by food alone. Go ahead.
But by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God.
See what he said? A man follows the law. That's what he's saying. We might read that word man and just go, he talking about human beings. Christ mentioned things in a masculine form because the men were the ones that were going to push the nation forward. He waiting on 144 men to wake up. Said nothing about the sisters, the women, and the children. Right? He never said nothing about, I'm waiting for 144,000 grandmas to get their mind right. That's not what he waiting on. Waiting on the men to be men. Matthew chapter 7 and verse 31. So the problem, right? The reason we ain't out of here yet is because there's not 144,000 men on the earth. So are you a man? So I'm asking that question. You might say, yeah, I'm a man. I wear a purple shirt every Sabbath and I yell at niggas in the street. that don't mean you a man. Right? Matthew 7 and verse 31.
There's no verse 31. There's no verse 31.
Luke 7 and 31. My bad. I said Matthew. Luke 7 and 31.
The book of Luke, chapter 7 and verse 31. And the Lord said, whereunto then shall I liken the men of this generation?
See what he said? He said, what should I compare the men of this generation to? This is all the way back in Rome. This is all the way back in Rome when he was saying this. Go ahead.
And to what are they like?
What are they like? What are the men like? The grown men that I came back so we could get up out of here with, what are these grown men like? I'm guaranteeing you, if he would have walked up on them at this time and said, yo, you a man? They'd have been like, yeah, Christ. I'm a man, 10 toes down. I hold down my family. I do everything I'm supposed to. Watch what he said. Didn't make them men.
They are like unto children sitting in the marketplace.
They like little kids playing outside. Go ahead.
And calling one to another and saying, we have piped unto you, and ye have not danced. We have mourned to you, and ye have not wept.
They're like little kids who come and try to get their way, and they don't get it. They try to manipulate you. They trying to run around and play all the damn time. He said, these are the men. I'm looking at them. I'm staring at them, and I'm going, these ain't men. They little boys. That's what he's saying. They're like little boys. Go ahead.
For John the Baptist.
That's it. So he's making a point of us. That was verse 32, right? 31 and 32?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So he's making the reference to the point of us being like little children. Now, you think it got better or you think it got worse today? It's way worse. So back then we was getting referred to as little boys. What have we all been taught? Manhood or boyhood? We've been taught boyhood. That's why you got to ask yourself, am I a man? I don't care what house you own, what cars you got, what type of job you have. That don't mean you a man. None of that makes you a man. The totality of it makes you a man. That's the point that he was making to David. Keep the laws, statutes, and commandments. He could have just said, keep these 3 laws and you a man. He said, no, keep the laws, statutes, and commandments and show thyself a man. Prove it to yourself. Prove it to God that you a man. It's the totality of those things that makes a man. We ain't been taught how to be men because our fathers was getting high, drunk. They had multiple women, right? Some of them might have gangbanged. Some of them might have been in jail. When you think about these things, what have you been taught? Some of you was raised by your mother. Isaiah 3 and verse 12. Some of you was raised by your mother, right? You was raised by your mom. So if you was raised by your mom, you didn't learn manhood. It's impossible, right? It's not no fault to her. She tried, but it's impossible for a woman to teach you manhood. You got to go learn that from men. And then if you go into your community and there are no men, how do you learn how to be a man? You learn it now. Read Isaiah 3 and verse 12.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 3 and verse 12. As for my people, children are their oppressors.
You see what he said? Children are their oppressors. Go ahead.
And women rule over them.
Some of y'all are grown children. Just straight up. You got to be able to look at that and say, yo, I'm like a grown kid because I haven't learned manhood. There's certain behaviors in me. I'm childish with certain things because I've never been taught to take certain things serious. When I learned it, it was around a bunch of little kids, and I treated it like some little kid stuff my entire life. And he's making reference in his verse that your mama might have raised you that day. Some of y'all can't take correction because your mama never corrected you. Just telling you like it is. Your mama never sat you down and had a heart-to-heart conversation. When there was something going on with you, she just avoided you and act like it wasn't happening. Baby, you want to eat some breakfast? Let's go to the park and play. She did something to reward you to see if that could change your behavior. She never sat you down and said, yo, you full of shit. You got to get your mind right. How many of y'all mamas sat you down and did that? Let's keep it 1,000. That's what I'm telling you. Most of us know, right? Okay. Well, I know your mom. I know your mom, right? I know your mom too, right? Benji is going to beat your ass. But I'm making a point of many moms don't correct their sons. They don't correct their sons. They give them hugs when they're doing bad. They're the consolers. So when you tripping, who you need to get you right? A father. Now you come in the truth. The men is set over you. They get on you. You get mad because you ain't never had that happen in your life. That's what we got to look at. Are you really a man? Nah, your mom taught you how to deal with these situations. Deuteronomy 28 verse 48. Guess who else taught you? A lot of stuff. Yeah. I heard some stuff. Yeah. Go ahead. All of that, right. Go ahead, officer. If you want to jump in, you can say whatever. Go ahead.
The book of Deuteronomy.
I saw him touch the mic for a second out the corner of my eye. Go ahead.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee. in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things.
And want of all things. So your oppressors have taught you how to be men. They taught you how to be men. And if you ever read the Willie Lynch letter, you know it was designed for you to be strong physically and weak mentally. So again, you may say you're a man, but you learn how to be a man from self-help books, from television. You didn't have a father in your household. You might have learned it from the army. You might have learned it from the military. Did they really teach you how to be the man of God that you're supposed to be? God is the only one that can show you how to be a man. He created man and gave you an instruction manual how to be a man. If anybody else taught you how to be a man, you're not a man. You're something else they created. When we really put it in perspective, that's why we got to ask ourselves this question. It might seem like a simple thing, like, yo, I know I'm a man. But when you really get to digging into it, you go, hold on, wait, there's some female tendencies in me, some Edomite tendencies in me. You know what I mean? Straight up. You start digging into it, you be like, dang, I value this more than this, and God never told me to value that more than that. This is stuff you got to look at and say, hold on, wait, I'm a man. That's why I said leave your feelings at the door, because when you had this conversation with yourself, it's not a fun one. It's not a fun one because you stop and you say, damn, I get emotional about this. I got this. I'm out of order here. I like discipline here. And the reason you do that is because you're not a man in that area. That's all it is. I know, you know, what you say about man's ego?
A man's ego is fragile as a woman's self-esteem.
Right.
A man's ego, right, and all of us have egos to a certain extent, is as fragile as a woman's self-esteem. Mm-hmm. Yep, it is.
100%. And that'll break you and make you say, I'm a man. You want to be able to have this conversation with yourself mentally because you're like, oh, I don't even want to go there. If I go there and I start examining myself and I say if I'm a man, it's going to break me down too much for me to even really talk about it and deal with it. Right? So that's something we got to be able to look at. Now, let's jump over to Ecclesiastes 7 and verse 15. Let's go there. So all in all, right, we exhibit behaviors, right, that show a lack of manhood in many cases. Here's one, right? Some of us hate hard work and discipline. We hate it. When it comes to our job, when it comes to people getting on us about working hard and discipline, we hate it. Ecclesiastes 7 and verse 15.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 7 and verse 15. All things have I seen in the days of my vanity. There is a just man that perisheth in his righteousness.
I mean, Sirach 7 and 15. My bad. I wrote it down wrong. Let's go there. Hate not. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
The book of Sirach, chapter 7 and verse 15. Hate not laborious work, neither husbandry.
Right.
Which the Most High hath ordained.
So he said, hate not laborious work or gardening, right? Agriculture, because the Lord ordained those. Adam, when he came, that's what he had to do. But many of us hate hard work. This is how you know if you hate hard work. When you do something, your first thought is, what is blocking me that would make it difficult, and what's the easiest route to do it? And if you can't find the easy way, you don't start. That's how you know you hate hard work. If there's difficulty in the way, you go, hold on, wait. I'm just going to wait till I find the easy route to start on that. I'm going to do this other stuff that's easy. Instead of saying, let me put my hand to the plow and begin, you wait. You say, you know what? That's a little difficult. I'm going to have to go down to this office and that office and talk to this person, and I'm going to have to go over here. I'll just wait till I find the answers online. Then I'll go take care of it. You hate hard work. You've been taught that by probably your mother, Esau, right? The internet, TikTok. Right? Everything is quick for us now. So when it comes that we got to do more work and more legwork to get something done, we really don't want to do it. Sirach 22 and verse 1. These are things that we've been taught that are not the mindset of men. Imagine if Adam got kicked out the garden, right? The Lord said everything that you want to eat and that you want, you're going to have to do it with your hands now. I gave you everything for free. You're going to have to garden. You're going to have to work. You got to do all this with your hands now. What if he would have said, man, that's hard work. I ain't finna garden. Lord lost his mind. What would have happened to Adam? He'd have died. But many of us, we alive physically, but our minds is like that. We not pushing through issues. We got a list of stuff we need to get done, and brothers be like, yo, you know, I'm finna start that business, you know what I mean, soon. Yo, I'm finna do this soon. Soon I'm gonna be working on that. And the reason we don't start is because it's difficult. Read that.
The book of Sirach, chapter 22 and verse 1.
Yep.
A slothful man is compared to a filthy stone.
See what the Bible says? The slothful man is like a piece of doo-doo. Go ahead.
And every one will hiss him out to
Read.
his disgrace.
Read.
A slothful man is compared to the filth of a dunghill. Every man that taketh up will shake his hand.
The Bible talks about us being slothful, but why are we this way? Because this is how we were taught to be men. Again, how many of y'all had homework and you was able to lie to your parents and say you did your homework, but you ain't do it? That's where your slothfulness started. That's where it started. You knew you had homework. How many of y'all knew you had a test coming you never studied for? You say, yo, I'm going to study the night before. How many of y'all did a paper the night before it was due? This is where it starts. All that's where it starts. Society let that rock. There's stuff in place for you to cram the night before. There's stuff in place that'll write your paper now. You ain't even got to write your paper. You go to ChatGPT and write the paper for you. You ain't even got to work hard no more. Yo, I'm finna go and download this app. I'm finna type in, I want a paper on X, Y, and Z. You got a whole paper, 20 pages, done. I know people right now talking about, yo, I'm going to go back to college because they don't got to write no papers. They know they ain't got to write no papers. We hate hard work. That's what we become as men. So how we going to push a nation forward when our wives start tripping, the kids start tripping, a difficult problem getting our way, and all we know is easy answers, quick ways of getting stuff done. We're going to sit there and be like, I'm straight on that. I'm straight on that hard work. GPT can't do it? There ain't no website for that? Shit, I'm straight. Ain't no website for ruling your wife? I can't go to Google? Where Uber at? Uber set that house in order. You can't find that? Nah, I'm good on that. Right? Give me Proverbs 26 and 16. That's what we're looking for. I'm telling you, we become worse and worse over time. That's why we need this Bible. Read that.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 26 and verse 16. The sluggard is wiser in his own conceit than 7 men that can render a reason.
See, the sluggard, the man that's lazy, he wise in his mind, though. Everybody be like, yo, why you delaying? Why you taking time? Be like, no, I got a plan, bro. I'm working on it. I'm just doing some more research. After I get my research done, I'm going to go ahead and get started. That's what a lazy brother would say. Like, yo, bro, what's up with that idea you was going to do? Yo, I'm thinking about it. I'm putting a plan in place. I'm still doing a little bit of research. After I get the research done, I'm going to start moving on it. Then you look up a year, 2 years, 3 years later, you be like, yo, did you start? Yeah, damn, I was going to do that 3 years ago, bro. I got another idea I'm working on, though, right now. Got something I'm working on right now. But these behaviors, they've been allowed to exist because of the environment we live in, the society we live in, and what we've been taught, right? We become lazy over time. That's not what a man does. Proverbs 6 and verse 6. I'm going to jump off this one, but we hate hard work and discipline as a people, and we got to change that. We got to examine that about ourselves and say, damn, I got that in me. When I was reading this, I'm like, this is for me as much as it's for y'all. We got this stuff in us because we've been taught this way. We've been given AOL and iPads and sidekicks and text messaging. We don't like doing stuff the difficult way. Read that.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 6 and verse 6. Go to the ant, thou sluggard. Consider her ways and be wise.
See what it said? Go to the ant. Go look at an ant and see what he do. Go ahead.
Which having no guide, overseer, or ruler, provideth her meat in the summer, and gathereth her food in the harvest.
See, an ant prepare and you don't. An ant go through difficult problems. You ever seen an ant, they getting stepped on? You got your foot in the way, they go around your foot. They don't stop. You kill like 20 of them. They keep coming. You're like, damn, he's still in the house. I'm killing a gang of y'all. They still coming. I'm finna get that sugar. They don't stop through adversity. If we was like the ant, we would get a lot more done as a people. If we was ants and ants was Israel, Israel would be in the kingdom. They'd be in the kingdom. Because when the difficulty come, they'd go around. They'd be like, we're finna go around that. We're going to keep going. But for us, we go, oh, no, that's a problem. I don't know about that. You see that foot right there? We ain't that hungry, bro. Turn around. We ain't that hungry, bro. Go ahead.
How long wilt thou sleep, O sluggard? When wilt thou arise out of thy sleep? Yet a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep.
He said you should have a little bit of rest. But we as a people, we get a lot of rest, a lot of chilling, a lot of waiting, a lot of time where we not working. Go ahead.
So shall thy poverty come as one that travaileth, and thy want as an armed man.
Okay, drop that now. Another issue we got is 2 Thessalonians 3 and verse 10. A lot of us, we have no jobs, no career. Every 6 months, every year you switching jobs. You don't invest in anything. You don't invest in anything. You don't find a career path and stick to it. Read that.
The book of 2 Thessalonians chapter 3 and verse 10. For even when we were with you, this we commanded you, that if any would not work, neither should he eat.
See what it says? If any would not work, neither shall he eat, right? What a lot of brothers do, right? This is a side note. A lot of brothers do is they go from job to job to job. When you apply for a job, there's something key that they always ask you about. Years of experience, right? They ask you that, right? How many years of experience do you have? If you're doing the job and you're saying, I got 1 year of experience, are you going to get paid more or less, y'all? So when brothers complain all the time, yo, I got a bad job, I'm not really getting paid the way I need to get paid, and you've been switching career to career to career to career because you don't like the way that job is, or you don't like the environment, it's not comfortable for you, and you going back and forth and back and forth, are you ever going to get up in life? It's impossible. Because the next job you go to, they're going to ask you, how many years you been doing this? You're going to be like, this is my first time right here. Okay, entry level, you get the bottom pay. Then you're going to go to the next bottom pay job and do that for 4 or 5 years and never get up. And then go find you another career and switch field. Now you're wondering, you look up, you're 40, you at the McDonald's, wondering why you're at the McDonald's because you never did anything that would benefit you long term. You never invested in anything. You had something, officer? Okay.
No, you're on point a lot because they don't invest in themselves. Because they don't see the value in themselves. Right. That's why they're willing to accept less and not be, in bottom line, they're not becoming men.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly. It's a that's where it starts, right? At the end of the day. That's why I told y'all, if we're the only nation that has a God, right? And the only nation that has laws, and the only men of that nation, we're the only real men on earth. We're the only real men on earth. Everybody else is supposed to pattern themselves after us. But we not in our right state. So everything else that you see out here is confusion and chaos. The only real men are going to come from the nation of Israel. They're going to teach everybody else how things actually supposed to go. Till we get right, there ain't no men out here. Besides the leadership that you see, right? Those are real men. Nobody else on the earth, everybody else on the earth is winging it. Straight up. They don't got a God and laws and prayer and all these things that govern them to show them how to be men, right? Give me Sirach 29 and verse 21. So not having a job or a career is an issue. I get it. You feeding your family, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. But what we got to be able to do as a people is elevate our nation, right? That's what we started off with. Men elevate the nation. So if the men can't start careers and build things in forward progression, how are the children ever going to get to that place? How are the women ever going to be able to help them move forward? They can't because the men don't have a mind to move things forward. They don't have a mind to suffer for a few years in a certain role or position to move their nation forward. They don't got that mind. They're like, yo, it's all about me and my comfort. That's effeminate stuff. That's women-like behavior. I'm telling you straight up. I don't like the way this feels, so I'm going to leave. I'm not comfortable all the time. That's what your wife do. How many of y'all got a wife, right, that complain about her job and want to quit all the time? I know I do. No, I know I do. My wife always say, yo, I want to leave, man. They getting on my damn nerves today. That's what women do. Every day, something get on their nerves. You got to talk them off a ledge. Now, imagine if they was the ones to push society forward. Would it get pushed forward? No. So that's what y'all got to understand. That's why we here. Go ahead.
The book of Sirach, chapter 29 and verse 21. The chief thing for life is water and bread and clothing and an house to cover shame.
Read.
Better is the life of a poor man in a mean cottage than delicate fare in another man's house.
Read.
Be it little or much, hold thee contented, that thou hear not the reproach of thy house.
So you want to have something for yourself, right? You want to set yourself up to have food, water, and shelter. These are minimum things that a man should have. Go ahead.
For it is a miserable life to go from house to house.
But some of us live in this life. We jump from house to house because our money ain't right. Our situation ain't right. Go ahead.
For where thou art a stranger, thou darest not to open thy mouth.
What happens to you when you can't open your mouth and you can't say how you feel about stuff? You become like a little boy. So it's telling you, when your stuff ain't together, you start feeling weak. Your confidence drop because now you're in the spotlight. Damn, I don't really want that type of juice. But you ain't going to say nothing. You be like, okay, I'll drink it. Like, man, I wish we had different pillows on the couch. Well, I don't pay for nothing around here. I can't really say nothing. I guess I'll be okay. You start getting repressed. The lion in you is gone. That's how many brothers, you see brothers living with their mom for 40, 50 years, begging, jumping from house to house. Man, your life is jacked up. Because now everywhere you go, that energy that you have when it comes to being a man, it's going to carry to your job. It's going to carry to how you deal with your wife. It's going to carry how you deal with your children. Other men, they're going to be able to see on you, you weak. Because you made a beggar in another man's house. These things affect you as men. right? And we often hate, right, having a job or a career and advancing ourselves and being better. I'm not saying it's all about money. What it's about is investing in yourself, becoming better over time, because that's how you move a nation forward. Give me the video now. I want the video with which one? Let me see what you got up there. Not that one. Hold on, let me click on it.
Check this out, right? One thing we got to learn is, right, you got to be mindful how you allow people to you got to be mindful of what you allow, because you're teaching people how to treat you. You understand what I'm saying? You got to be mindful of what you allow, because you're teaching people how to treat you. Not just that, but you got to be mindful of what you allow for yourself. If you're willing to accept less, people's going to treat you less, right? If you want to play the soft, silly simp sucker, you're going to get treated like the soft, silly simp sucker. You know what I'm saying? You got to be careful. It comes with self-esteem, right? So that Deuteronomy 28:48, that's a real thing. When they removed the yokes of iron because we was the broken people, right? You got to understand who you are, right? That's what we're here to do, to bring that back towards remembrance. Romans 15 and what? 4? You know what I'm saying? You got to remember who you are. Princes and kings amongst the earth. Yeah, gods. That's what it says in Psalms 82, right? But if you accept less, you're going to get treated as less. If you accept less, you're going to get treated as less than a man. How you going to look at your rib or your wife coming home and like, oh, baby, you know, this is what they gave me. You know what I'm saying? That's not being a man. You know, you heard what David told Solomon. Go forth and show yourself to be a man.
Nation is family. Nation is community. Nation is men leading by example. Nation is women's support. Nation is children with role models. Nation is unity. Nation